And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm Keith Womack, and I'll be your host for tonight's show. The Yellow Jackets fell to 6-2 overall and 2-2 in the Sand Hills 3A 4A conference last Friday night, as the Yellow Jackets lost to Richmond County in a very exciting game by a 35-33 score. Lee County will try to rebound this week as they travel to take on Scotland County in a huge conference matchup this Friday night. We remind you that our coaches show this season air live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock here on WFJA Sports, and these shows will re-air 1 hour before game time on Friday nights. Video of each coach's show will post on Wednesdays on the homepage of the WFJA website and the WFJA Facebook page. Our coaches shows each week will be brought to you by some great sponsors, and of course we hope that you will thank these advertisers with a thank you and even with your business. Bringing you the coaches show for 2022 are Jones Printing Company, Wilkinson Cadillac Chevrolet Buick GMC, Domino's, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Brian Estes, and Fix It Plumbing. We're going to take a short break and bring in head coach Steve Bordeaux, and we'll be right back for the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show right after these important messages.
WFJA would like to thank the following advertisers for bringing you the Lee County Coaches Show: Jones Printing Company, Domino's, WilkinsonCars.com, Sheriff Brian Estes, Farm Bureau of Tramway, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Fix It Plumbing, and Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Yellow Jacket Football Show. And this is our coaches show, believe it or not, for week number 9. Of course, I'm Keith Womack, and I'm joined by head coach Steve Bordeaux. Coach, thanks for being here tonight. Yellow Jackets coming off a tough loss to Richmond County by a 35-33 score. I want to just say personally, I love this rivalry, renewing it, because this was the rivalry back when I was in high school, back in the 20th century. But Coach, tough loss. Your thoughts on the game this past Friday?
You know, I think the big takeaways were the boys played hard. You know, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, I see here, but the fight was there. You know, I really felt like in just about every way we dominate. I don't say we dominated the game in every facet of of stats and everything but the scoreboard. And really, that's what everybody knows. When we go back and look at it on Max Preps, that score is what the score is. We had to make one more play in a couple different situations.
Well, Coach, obviously there are always the little things. I know coaches talk about that all the time. I hear it at all levels of football. Looking back, I know there was a blocked field goal. There was a missed extra point. Then obviously forced to go for 2 after that final touchdown. Those are just some of the little things, but I'm sure you can point out more that could make a big difference had we executed properly.
Yeah, no doubt. It becomes, you know, little things turn into big things, but when we go back and watch film as coaches, we always look at a play in a couple different ways. Was it something the defense did to us, or the other team, not necessarily defense, the other team did to us, or something that scheme-wise didn't work against what we were seeing, or did we flat out not execute? And we saw a little bit of different things throughout, but we found about 15 plays that minimal mistakes were very key factors in the football game. And if we can make one more, you know, we're having a whole lot better conversation right now.
Well, Coach, you talk about fight. The Yellow Jackets were down 14 on 3 different occasions last Friday night. But you're right, very impressed with the way these kids were able to fight back.
Yeah, definitely so. You know, starting the game, we go down and have a really good drive and get inside the red zone, have a couple issues with a drop pass and a missed pass and then a blocked field goal. They come back and have a really good drive, have another really, you know, make a big play on a 3rd down, so it's 14-0, and we respond quickly on offense. And I think that's really where it became the offense continued to make up for anything the defensive might have made a mistake, and consistently did that to keep us in the game. And as the defense got everything worked out and started finishing drives and, you know, not let up a big play, the offense sputtered at a couple different key times when they could have, you know, helped us, or we could have helped us put one away.
Well, speaking of big gains, from what I understand, and of course I was traveling Friday night, was listening to it on the radio on my way back to Sanford. But Coach, there were I think 3 plays in the first quarter alone that were from 60, 65
Yeah.
yards or better. Two by Lee County and one by Richmond. So it was a game of big plays. Looks like both teams made the adjustment though coming into the second half.
Yeah, I think honestly, I feel like we still moved the ball well in the second half. We were able to get down to the red zone 2 more times. One time they stopped us at the 1 yard line. Good goal line stop by them. Another time we get the ball and it's 4th and 1, and we just miss execute on a 4th and 1 play that should have been a touchdown when it comes down to it. So those are the situations that you got to be able to execute against teams that are good enough to beat you.
Well, Coach, we talked about this game a little bit statistically. Of course, they don't add up your stats to decide who wins the game. But just to give you an idea, folks, Schlesinger 8 of 20 for 121 yards. Wasn't his best passing night, but still very respectable. The thing that really just sticks out to me is looking at B.J. Brown. We'll talk about him a little later, obviously, when we're passing out the accolades from last Friday night. But B.J. Brown, 32 carries, 276 yards. Oh, my goodness. And even Mark Schlesinger. I mean, how many years as a quarterback have we had stats where quarterbacks had negative yardage during the game? He had 11 carries for 78 yards. I mean, 46 overall carries for the Yellow Jackets, 368 yards on the ground. That is just phenomenal, and that puts you at looks like 400 and about 89 yards of total offense. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, we were effectively moving the ball pretty consistently. We leave 3 times inside the 10-yard line without scores. That's what it all really comes back to. With those opportunities, when we miss those, the yards still add up well, but the points don't get quite as high. Consistently moving the ball, a lot of different guys catching the ball at receiver. Mark doing a good job spreading that around and using his legs when they were keying on JoJo or BJ. I was proud to see that. And the offensive line, obviously, moving some guys out the way for all those rushing yards.
Well, unfortunately, Jackets were not able to get the victory, but from everybody that I've talked to, very tough effort by the Yellow Jackets, even in defeat. Of course, we always love it when they can do it with grace and dignity, and they really played a heck of a game. But just a few plays away, perhaps, from being a little higher up in the conference. In fact, as a matter of fact, speaking of the conference, would like to run down through this real quick. Pinecrest, the Patriots, obviously right now at 4-0 in the conference, leading the way. Richmond County, with that victory last week, put them at 4-1. Had the Jackets win one, they would have been 3-1, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, 4-1, 3-1. You're right. So it would have put them right ahead of Richmond County, but instead they did leap us there at 4-1. Jackets are now at 2-2. Scotland County, which is Friday night's opponent, also at 2-2. They are 4-4 overall. Based on all the statistics and the like opponents and everything else we're seeing, we're in for a great game. So Yellow Jacket fans, if you're ready and can travel about an hour south, please come down and support the Yellow Jackets on Friday night. Right behind them is Hope County. They're at 5-4 overall, 3-2 in the conference, and of course Union Pines and Southern Lee both at 0-4 in the conference. Union Pines has won 2 games. They're 2-6 overall. The Cavaliers at 1-7. So it's going to make for an interesting Friday night because, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Yes, sir.
After this week, we've got one remaining game, and that'll be against crosstown rival Southern Lee, the Cavaliers. And, these last 2 weeks are really going to put everything in perspective as far as the playoffs go.
Yeah, definitely so. So really what's on the table at this point for us conference-wise, this week's game between us and Scotland determines who the 3A conference champion is, which gets you a first round or a 1 seed in the playoffs. 1 seed in the playoffs also gets you a home game. Not being the first seed in your conference pretty much means you're very unlikely to have a home game, and you very likely are going to be playing somebody that is a really high seed. So that's a lot of I won't say pressure because you play the game. Every game's got pressure, but there's a little bit more to it when it comes down to head-to-head and a chance to win the 3A conference part of it.
Well, obviously, we'd like for you to win out.
No,
and
definitely.
Be at home for at least a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
that's the plan.
That'd be our goal. I do want to remind everybody, last week, outside of the Richmond County, Lee County game, there was also some other games going on around the conference. Of course, Pinecrest defeated Scotland 30-21. That's why they're at the top of the conference now. Hope County defeated Union Pines 42-28. The Cavaliers last week took the week off, so they'll be looking to get back into action this week. And speaking of this week, of course, Lee County will travel down to Scotland County, where they will play their next to last final conference game. Union Pines will be at Southern Lee. This is a key game for both of these teams, Coach, because winless in the conference,
right,
and they obviously want to get that win on the board there. Pinecrest will be at Hope County. Pinecrest cannot take Hope County lightly. They are a good team. They're 3-2 in the conference, but to me, they are one of the tougher teams we've played this year so far. And of course, Richmond County is idle, and then of course we got the last week. Go ahead and run. Lee County will be at the Cavaliers. That's a game I'm sure most Yellow Jacket fans will be looking forward to just as much. But we're gonna come back and talk a little bit about next week's opponent. But for now, I just want to make sure, please thank your sponsors: Jones Printing Company, Wilkinson Cadillac Chevrolet Buick GMC, Domino's, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Brian Estes, and Fix It Plumbing. We're going to take a short break and hear from a few of those sponsors. We'll be right back to talk more Yellow Jacket football right after this break.
WFJA would like to thank the following advertisers for bringing you the Lee County Coaches Show: Jones Printing Company, Domino's, WilkinsonCars.com, Sheriff Brian Estes, Farm Bureau of Tramway, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Fix It Plumbing, and Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket Football Show here with head coach Steve Bordeaux. And Coach, as disappointing as loss ever is, it's more disappointing when you lose to a big-time rivalry like Richmond County. But again, one of those things that it happened. You got to put it behind you. That going to be a problem this week?
No, I don't think so. I think by the time really we left our film meeting Monday about 3:30 and went to practice, so we'd already coaches-wise and player-wise had already switched their heads to our next opponent. I just get to relive it a couple times throughout the week on the coaches' shows.
I bet it's harder on the coach and the coaching staff than it is the kids sometimes.
Probably so.
Well, Coach, still an excellent game, and we do have some great sponsors. The Norman Financial Group, and then also Bubba's Subs and Pizza. They allow John and I to pick the players of the game, and of course an outstanding performance offensively. Our winner this week, B.J. Brown, 276 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, B.J., game changing throughout. Had another catch for some yards. Had a good kickoff return at one point. So had to be over 300 total yards between all those. And obviously the touchdowns. One of if not his best overall game so far. Watching him run away from people at the end of some runs against a really athletic team was awesome to see.
And Coach, I'll remind all of the Yellow Jacket fans out there, B.J. Brown, somewhere a little over 350 yards remaining to hit 2,000. And guys, we've still got 2 regular season games to go. That is obtainable easily the way he's been running the ball this season. So congratulations to B.J. Brown, our Norman Financial Group, and our Bubba Subs player of the game. And of course, we had another great defensive effort by one of our favorites, JoJo Jennings. Many key stops in last week's game.
Yeah, everybody knows JoJo. Whether it's our team, the other team, the fans, everybody's used to him making a lot of plays, and he's done it a lot of times. We look forward to him making a lot of stops this week.
And from a Yellow Jacket fan, I think we've gotten spoiled because we've had him 4 years. I call him the Greg Paulus of Yellow Jacket football. But we're glad to have him.
Definitely.
Hope we can stick around for about 8 more games.
That sounds good to me.
And of course, then we have Wilkinson Cadillac Chevrolet Buick GMC that also has an award post game. And of course, the coaching staff gets to choose who their overall player of the game is. Coach, and I'll let you introduce that.
Yeah, so this week we went with BJ. BJ affected the game in a special teams game. They kicked the ball away from him all night, even though we did pick up one of the balls and get a big return. They were definitely keen on him and allowing us to get some runs with Mark and some of our RPO stuff happen, and still having 3 touchdowns and 276 rushing yards. Outstanding overall performance.
Well, congratulations to those guys. Thank you to the Norman Financial Group, Bubba's Subs, and then also to Wilkinson Cadillac Chevrolet Buick GMC. We appreciate everything those guys do for us. Coach, now we're going to move on to this Friday night's opponent, another big-time rival.
Oh, yeah.
This is the old Southeastern Conference. The older folks around town will know who I'm talking about. But we travel down to Scotland County, just down 501, about an hour from here.
Yes, sir.
And Scott's right now at 4-4 overall, 2-2. What do we know about them? We know they've got a good quarterback in is it Ravel, I believe. We've got who passes the ball. We've got Primus, who is a great runner, and then also Graham, who is their leading receiver. Tell us a little bit what you guys have seen on film and what you know about Scotland County.
Yeah, they've been pretty dynamic on offense. They're able to make some big plays with number 4 and number 11 in the passing game, 2 and even 12 in the running game. Quarterback's able to run the ball when needed, and offensive line wise, they're an athletic offensive line. That's one thing we noticed quickly when we put it on film. Those guys move well, just across the board on offense. They're an athletic group.
Well, Scotland County, they don't have the great running back that they've had in the past.
Whew, I don't know.
Well, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the kid that went to Georgia.
Okay, Zamir. That might be a different one, but they've got 2 pretty daggone good ones.
But that's a different level. They've still got, Scotland County still Scotland County.
Oh, yeah.
Just like I like to think that Lee County Yellow Jackets are still the Lee County
No
Yellow
doubt.
Jackets. You just kind of move them in and move them out. You see kids go, but we've got kids that grow into their bodies and become better. Scotland County, Richmond County, very similar. And so we know Scotland County is going to bring it Friday.
Yeah, no doubt. And defensively, they've done a really good job. I feel like the last few weeks, you can see the improvement over the last 3 games. Each game that they've tightened things up even more and more. And they're just as athletic and aggressive they are on offense. That same thing happens on defense. They challenge you. The linebackers run to the football. So it's going to be a game where we're going to have to sustain blocks and we're going to have to execute.
I believe, personally, it's going to be very similar to Richmond County. It's going to be similar to Pinecrest. It's going to be a hard-fought
Yes,
game,
sir.
and I think the kids who win it in the trenches are going to come out on top.
Yeah, definitely. So offensive and defensive line, doesn't matter what level of football, but that's who wins football games. They don't always get the glory, but really, people who understand football and truly watch the game, when they see those guys doing the things they're supposed to do, it's a work of art.
And we need all Yellow Jacket fans there. Please come down and support the Yellow Jackets. We know that Scotland County will bring it.
Oh, yeah.
Their fan base will be there. They'll be there early. They'll be tailgating. We need all Yellow Jacket fans to come down and support these young men. Big game. This could determine the number 1 seed for the 3A side of our 3A split conference with 4A. So come down and support the Yellow Jackets. We've got a big one going on Friday night. And, of course, I just want to remind everybody that with this Friday night's game in Laurinburg, that folks can go to gofan.com and to get their tickets, make sure you get them early.
Yeah, no doubt. GoFan, place to go get them. They're already up there. You can go ahead and buy them, have them so you can walk right in the gate. I would expect it to be a nice crowd. The temperature is dropping. It's getting darker a little bit sooner, and it's kind of football weather. So I'm sure they'll have a packed crowd. They have a beautiful stadium and a nice screen that will pop on. So we need to make sure our side is there rooting just as hard as theirs is for their boys.
Well, Coach, it's funny. We were just talking about that because we've had some mild nights, but not anything like we're going to see Friday night. It's going to be chilly. Make sure you bring a pullover. Make sure you bring a blanket. But it's Friday night, man, and that's what football is all about on Friday nights.
Yeah, no doubt. Getting to this time of the year, feel it's like when it gets cold, you start thinking about playoff football. These last few weeks have been playoff football type games. This is going to be another one of them. Not only does it determine who is going to be the 3A conference champion in our conference, but it also determines who's going to have a home playoff game in a couple weeks, and guarantee you that you will have be in the playoffs. So a lot lying on the game. So we need as many people there screaming and cheering as they have.
Well, Coach, I know it's been a tough stretch the last couple of weeks, but iron sharpens iron. I mean, I think these opponents, win or lose, just make you that much sharper.
Yeah, we as a coaching staff have talked about different things, and everybody has their opinions on this conference and that conference and split conferences. To me, 3A, 4A, it is what it is. Good football is good football. When you can line up against good coaching staffs who have talented athletes, it makes you do the same. Makes you coach, makes you face some adversity. And it's only going to either make you grow, or you're going to see a team that doesn't want any part of it. And luckily, we're seeing our group grow.
Coach, any injuries or minor details that we need to know about tonight?
So I think going into was 9th game of the year, there's probably 30% of them have bumps and bruises and all that type of thing like that. But hopefully we can just limit the big ones, and it's just a bruise. And Coach Womack taking care of them daily to make sure everything's there. We work them through practice and limit some of the guys that need that, and just try to get them ready to get them as healthy as possible for every game they can be in.
Well, Coach, we certainly wish you the best of luck. We'll be there to support the Yellow Jackets, and let's go back and bring those young men another Yellow Jacket victory.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Well, we'd like to thank you for listening tonight. We're going to take one short break before we wrap this thing up, so we'll be back in just a moment.
WFJA would like to thank the following advertisers for bringing you the Lee County Coaches Show: Jones Printing Company, Domino's, WilkinsonCars.com, Sheriff Brian Estes, Farm Bureau of Tramway, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Fix It Plumbing, and Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back one final time to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show. I'd like to say a special thank you to Coach Bordeaux for joining us tonight. We'd like to remind you that our Coaches Show this season will air live every Tuesday night, as it did tonight at 7 o'clock on WFJA Sports. And these shows will re-air 1 hour prior to game time on Friday nights. Video of each Coaches Show will post on Wednesdays on the homepage of the WFJA website and also on the WFJA Facebook page. Our Coaches Shows each week are brought to you by some great sponsors, and of course it starts with Jones Printing Company, Wilkinson Cadillac Chevrolet Buick GMC, Domino's, the Dairy Bar and Flame Restaurants, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Brian Estes, and Fix It Plumbing. We'd like to thank you all for listening to tonight's show. It's now time for Yellow Jacket football.